Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. It's been a little rainy out here today, but I'm outside to share with you again today. You can see I'm under the Tiki hut. My name's Cliff. That means it's time for Tiki Talk. Okay, so today's kind of rainy, dreary afternoon kind of got me thinking. My family had been out in the pool. We've been having a great time, but it's been kind of dreary on the afternoon. A little rain came in with some thunder and everything. So it made me think, sunshine, how important that is, right? For our happy living, for having outside. But what about, are you getting enough sun in your relationship? S-U-N. No, I'm not talking about sunshine in this particular case. I don't mean vitamin D deficiency or anything. I'm talking about sun, S-U-N. All right, so what does that mean? Well, let's start off with S. That means selflessness towards your partner. Are you being selfless in how you treat your partner? Are you putting your spouse's needs first? No, I don't mean always, right? But I mean, are you guys finding that happy medium to where you are putting your needs and you're putting her or his needs just as important as your own, right? You can't always be the first in everything that you do. You've got to be able to have that selflessness to be able to put your spouse's needs just as high up on the scale as your needs, right? So that means also compromising on those major challenges. I don't mean necessarily like where you're going to go to eat for dinner, right? Maybe you're going to put your foot down and say, tonight we are having Chinese, or we're not going out at all. Okay, well that's one thing. But if there's that $30,000 vehicle you want to put in your driveway, you probably should talk to your spouse before you do that, right? I don't think any of us would appreciate having that car note show up the next month just because our spouse didn't want to have that selflessness, didn't want to have that conversation and compromise. And next thing you know, we have this great car, but huge bill to deal with, right? So finding those compromises on those major challenges. And then also deciding, is it more important to be right, or is it more important to have a healthy, happy relationship? So I hate to break it to everybody, but none of us are always right. I know, ladies, I know, but none of us are always right. At the end of the day, we've got to find that happy medium between us and our spouse. There are always things that we're going to compromise on. There are always things that we're not going to agree on, but we have to find that happy middle ground so that we can have that relationship that is wonderful for all of us. All right, so how about that U in sun, right? So the S stood for selflessness concerning your spouse's needs. How about that U? That U stands for understanding your spouse. When we say I do, that didn't just mean we're going to have rainbows and unicorns and happily ever after, right? For all of us that are married or have been married, we know that it is a constant work in progress, right? And that includes my own marriage. We have to learn to understand the person that we're spending the rest of our life with. If we don't, it makes our relationship extremely hard. So what's one way that you can kind of understand your spouse? How about knowing their love language? How about knowing your own love language? How about even knowing what love languages are? Maybe you don't know what that is. Maybe you're looking at me like, what is he talking about? Love languages. I would highly recommend a book that was written in the mid-90s by Gary Chapman. It's called The 5 Love Languages. And it helps break down the kind of people that almost every one of us are. So for instance, my love language is physical touch. I love when Melissa holds my hand, when she puts her arm around me, when we're driving down the road and she runs her fingers up and down in my hair. That shows me how much I loved. That makes me feel special and important to her. But that's not necessarily her love language. So what is your spouse's love language? What is your love language? If you've read that book or you know what I'm talking about, put a heart down in the comments and maybe even share what your love language is. Maybe your spouse will see it and get the hint on what's important to you. The love languages vary between physical touch, gift giving, words of affirmation. There are 5 main ones that Gary Chapman writes about. And it's important to know your own love language so you can help your spouse understand the expectation you have. But it's also important that you know your spouse's love language so that you can show them the love in a way that means and is impactful to them. For me, getting gifts, not impactful. That's great, but I almost look at it as like a waste of money. Melissa knows that, so I don't get showered with gifts and all those kind of things because those aren't important to me. That holding my hand or putting her arm around me while we're sitting at church or running her fingers through my hair, that's the big difference for me. And are we actually listening to each other, or are we hearing each other. There's two different definitions to those. So us guys, and I'll pick us on us guys for a moment here. A lot of us like to say that we were listening to our spouse, right? Oh, I'm watching the football game. I heard her say something. Yeah. I heard you. But were you listening? Probably not. We actually have to sit and listen to what the individual is saying to us, to what our spouse is sharing with us. There's an old proverb that I think is phenomenal, right? God gave us 2 ears, but only one mouth, because listening is more important than speaking. So are you taking the time to listen to what your spouse's needs are, or are you just hearing what they are, and are you even doing anything about them? The last piece on our understanding our spouse is understanding that we should never go to bed angry. Never. I cannot stress this enough. Melissa and I have been married for 16 years. We've been together for 21. So I have a little bit of experience in this. There have been nights where we've gone to bed angry in the past. And I'll tell you, I've spoken to other people who have gone to bed angry. And when you wake up, you may not even remember why you went to bed angry. You just know that, hey, I was angry at my spouse when I went to bed. I need to be angry when I wake up to show them that, you know what, I'm still angry, and you need to tell me you're sorry, or you need to apologize for whatever it is. That's nonsense. That is not how you're going to cultivate a great relationship with your spouse. Don't go to bed angry. Even if you have to just be the bigger person and say, you know what, we may not agree on this, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree. But I just want to say I'm sorry for what happened tonight and how it impacted our relationship. I love you. Have a great night. You don't even have to get a response back from them. That's okay. But don't go to bed angry, because it's only going to affect you in the morning. It's better to go ahead and apologize. And that way you wake up in the morning with a smile on your face, ready to have a great day. So if you've ever gone to bed angry, drop a 1 down in the comment and let us know. I know that we're not the only people out there that have ever gone to bed angry. So share with the world. And then if you've done something to help remind yourself not to go to bed angry, that would be an awesome share as well with the rest of us. So, all right. So are you getting enough sun in your relationship? S-U-N. S was for selflessness towards your spouse. U is understanding your spouse's needs. And now, all right, we're all adults here, right? N is for noogie, or nakedness. It's critical. I know it's funny. Everybody's going to laugh about it. They're going to be sitting there going, why in the world is Cliff talking about that stuff? But spending that time in contact with your spouse, lovemaking, kissing, all of that is critical to your loving relationship. And guys, I'm going to talk to you for a minute. I don't mean just telling your wife that, hey, I want to make love or I want to have sex tonight, throwing her into the bedroom in 3 or 4 minutes and then you're done. That's not lovemaking. I'm talking about taking that time to kiss, to touch, to hold, to caress, to show your spouse that you love them, that you want to be with them, that you want to spend that time with them. Why is that critical? Well, because when you look at the research behind the top 3 reasons why people cheat on their spouse, the top 3 reasons: 1, sex. They're not getting enough sex at home. 2, emotional sustenance. So even if they are getting sex, or even if they are getting their love language in there, there's no emotional connection there. There's nothing there to actually make them feel like they're wanted, like they're desired by their spouse. Number 3 is love. They don't feel the love when they're home. Those are the top 3 reasons why people seek elsewhere outside of their marriages for that: sex, emotional sustenance, and love. If you're not showing those 3 big things in understanding your spouse, then it's going to have a huge impact on how your relationship works and how your marriage can be successful. So in other words, don't be roommates, right? We've talked about this on some of our other previous Tiki Talks about, being your spouse's best friend and knowing your spouse well enough to where you're not just roommates. You're not just living in the same house. You're not just together because the kids are there or because you can't pay bills on your own. It's about actually having that emotional connection, that love making with your spouse, so that you can actually have a true connection and a healthy relationship. That's what it's all about. So you have to ask yourself, and I challenge you to find out, do you have enough sun in your relationship? Easy to remember, right? S-U-N. Selflessness towards your spouse. U for understanding your spouse's needs. And N, well, you know what the N stands for, right? Little noogie, little sex. So check yourself, ask yourself, if you don't know your love language, you don't know your spouse's love language, now is a great time. There's a quiz online that you can take and be able to find out what yours is. If you've ever taken that quiz, let us know down in the comments by putting a 2. Let us know what you did on it. You know, what did you find out? What is your love language? And do you know your spouse's love language? If you're watching this live, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love getting out here for Tiki Talk. If you're watching this on replay, drop a replay in the comments. Tell us where you're from. Where are you watching this from so we can see where this goes around in the world. All right. I love you guys. This is Cliff. I'm under the Tiki. That means this is Tiki Talk. I appreciate you. Love you. God bless.